Okay, so we've already learnt about the 4 different ways that light can interact with a material. So what happens when light hits a material? The first one is it can be reflected. So it can rebound off the material. The second one is light can be absorbed into the material and not come out again. The third one is light can be transmitted, which means it goes straight through the material, like something like glass that's clear. And light can also be refracted. So this video is going to focus on light when it is reflected off a material. And there are 2 main types of reflection. The first type is what we would normally think of as reflection, and it's called regular reflection. And this happens off objects that are shiny, like mirrors and glass when you look at it from a certain angle, and metal as well. Any objects or materials that are shiny. So regular reflection occurs when we have our material, like some water in a glass here, and the light comes down and reflects off in the same direction every time. So every ray of light that goes in, they all come out in the same direction. And off a mirror as well, the same thing would happen. Light goes in and comes out, all in the same direction. And what this means is that the light makes an image of something on the other side or near the material. So an image is just another view of an object nearby. And remember, regular reflection happens off really smooth surfaces. But the other type of reflection, which is called diffuse reflection, actually happens more often than regular reflection. And this happens off basically every other object that's not a really smooth surface. So all other objects. Unless they are perfectly black. So other than completely black objects. Because black objects absorb all the light and they don't reflect anything at all. And so diffuse reflection happens because all other objects aren't perfectly smooth, like mirrors or glass or metal. Even a piece of paper, which we might think of as smooth, if you zoom into that piece of paper and have a look at the surface, it's actually quite rough. And most materials are actually rough like this. So when light comes in and hits a piece of paper or another object with a rough surface, the light reflects at all different angles, in all different directions. So it reflects in different directions. So With most other objects, we just see them as a color, like white on a piece of paper. There's nothing reflected that we can see nearby because there's no image that's made. Alright, the next thing we need to look at is something called the law of reflection. And what scientists discovered is that if we ever have a smooth surface, like a mirror, wherever light comes in and hits that mirror, if we draw a vertical line off the mirror, then the angle that that light comes in at is always the same as the angle that the light reflects away at. So the blue angle here is the same as the red angle. And we give these names. The angle coming in of where the light hits the mirror, this is called the angle of incidence. And the angle that the light makes when it leaves the mirror is called the angle of reflection. So, in another example, if we have a mirror and the light comes in at a really steep angle, then according to the law of reflection, the light will also leave at the same steep angle away from the mirror. And another example, if the light comes in at a very low angle, it will hit the mirror and reflect off at a low angle as well. And we can write out a mathematical rule for this that's actually pretty simple. The angle of incidence we just call I for incidence. So I is equal to the angle of reflection, which we call R. I is equal to R. But we also need to think about, how does a mirror actually make an image that we see? So images are made when we look into a reflective surface, like a mirror. So this is the mirror. And as we look into the mirror, let's say we are holding a ball next to the mirror that has a blue side and a red side, two different colors. The light that hits the ball and goes into our eye will follow the law of reflection. But our eye and our brain thinks, or it makes us believe, that there is a ball inside or behind the mirror. So we see the ball in a straight line following from our eye into the mirror, as well as the object that we saw originally, the ball, the colors change sides, or the whole object changes sides to what we see. So the original ball we call the object, and what we think we see in the mirror is called the image. And sometimes it's called the virtual image because it doesn't really exist. It doesn't exist, but our brain perceives it to be there, so we imagine that the ball is behind the mirror.